Lee Yong-guk was bodyguard to the late Kim Jong-il for 10 years just before he took over as leader of North Korea. When he's happy, he says he will give gold bars to people. When he's not, it doesn't matter how loyal you are, he could kill you in an instant.
A former North Korean bodyguard has just revealed something shocking. He absolutely despises Kim Jong-un, and now he's sharing the chilling reasons why. North Korea might be secretive, but what goes on behind the scenes with Kim Jong-un is far worse than anyone thought. What could make someone who works so closely with the leader hate him so much? Tune in as we uncover the truth about the horrible things happening in that country that will send chills down your spine. Chosen to serve, trained for life. Kim Jong-un leads North Korea's controlling family. Before him, it was Kim Jong-il, his dad. They have power over everyone in the country. There are tough labor camps across the country for anyone who they think might challenge their power. People can be locked up for small things, like making a phone call to another country or watching a movie from South Korea. Kim Jong-un uses fear to keep control. He has a group of bodyguards to protect him and make sure no one tries to attack or overthrow him. This group is called the Supreme Guard Command, and they are dedicated to keeping the Kim family safe. Before we dive deeper into this, it's clear that what happens within the Supreme Guard Command is far more disturbing than anyone could have guessed. And this revelation is just the beginning of what will shock you. Kim Jong-il, the second leader of North Korea, set up the Bodyguard group. He did this after some people tried to take over his power. He got rid of some officers and made his bodyguard group bigger, with about 200 men. That's a lot for just one person's protection. When a former bodyguard recently shared his story, it was a big shock. He talked about his time in the Supreme Guard Command. He first worked for Kim Jong-il and then for his son after his dad died. The bodyguard who escaped is named Lee Yong-guk. He was part of the Kim family's protection until he ran away in 2000, which was his second try. His first try landed him in one of North Korea's well-known labor camps. Lee Yong-guk shared that the Supreme Guard Command picks new members from high schools. This is similar to how Kim Jong-un picks girls for his private group, telling them it's an honor to serve him. For bodyguard selection, students are lined up and checked out. They need to have no scars on their face and need to be well-shaped. The guards also look closely at potential bodyguards' family backgrounds to make sure they have always been loyal. If someone's family members have tried to run away, they can't be bodyguards. They also look at the songbun, which is a way North Korea classifies its people. Once someone is chosen, they get a new ID number, and all their past records are erased. They can't talk to their families anymore, and they are taken away from their loved ones forever. Once one person from a family is picked as a bodyguard, no one else from that family can serve. Their training and duties are very strict. Lee Yuk talked about the strict rules of Kim Jong-un's bodyguard team, especially the intense training he went through to stand out among the many others on his team. As a young bodyguard, he was full of energy and wanted to do well. The Supreme Guard Command uses a 300-page book that talks about past security problems, so new guards know what to watch out for. New recruits go to a special camp for 6 months and then train for up to 2 years. They learn things like martial arts, how to shoot accurately, and how to march 15 miles in full gear. Lee Guk worked in the security for Kim Jong-il, the old leader of North Korea and Kim Jong-un's father, from 1978 to 1988. He said that from the start, he was taught he had to protect the leader with his life. In his training, being able to shoot accurately was the most important skill. All bodyguards had to be really good at shooting to protect their leader well. He also said that Kim Jong-il liked to watch them train. Lee Guk mentioned, "Kim loved watching us shoot and do martial arts. I could break 11 bricks. That's how I got this scar," pointing to his right palm. Their training was tough, including things like smashing a big stone on your chest with a hammer, breaking stacked tiles with your head, and breaking light bulbs with one finger. Now that we know how the bodyguards are picked and trained, let's look at the tough demands they face and the real danger that comes with the job. Inside North Korea's guard force, they believed these extreme tests were necessary to protect the top members of the North Korean ruling family. Only those who could pass these tests were considered ready to serve as bodyguards for the Kim family. Lee Guk's experience showcases the harsh and intense nature of the training that these bodyguards go through. Every aspect of their training is designed to ensure they are capable of defending the leader at all costs. whether it involves physical strength or sharp shooting skills. Lee Guk also revealed that life as a bodyguard was not just about the rigorous physical challenges. It was also about absolute loyalty and obedience. From the moment they are recruited, bodyguards are taught to put the safety and well-being of the leader above their own lives. They live in a world where every action and every decision revolves around the security and commands of the Kim family. This level of dedication is demanded from every guard, and the consequences of failing to meet these expectations are severe. Being sent to a labor camp, as was the case with Lee Guk after his first escape attempt, is just one of the harsh punishments for those who fail or are even suspected of disloyalty. The reality of being a bodyguard for the Kim family also means isolation from the outside world. Once recruited, bodyguards are cut off from their families and any previous life they had. They are not allowed to have contact with anyone outside of their duties. This isolation is meant to prevent any outside influences or attachments that could distract them from their role or potentially lead to betrayals. Lee Guk's story highlights the sacrifices these individuals are forced to make, not just physically, but also emotionally and personally. Despite the prestige that might be assumed with such a position, the truth is that these bodyguards live under constant scrutiny and pressure. They must be vigilant at all times, trained to anticipate and react to any threat, no matter how small. Their lives are consumed by their duties, and they are always under the watchful eye of the regime, which does not hesitate to punish them and their families for any perceived mistakes or failures. The escape of Lee Guk from North Korea and his subsequent revelations about the life of a bodyguard to the Kim family shed light on the oppressive and fearful environment that the regime maintains. His daring escape, especially after being punished with a stint in a labor camp, underscores the desperation and the lengths to which he went to gain freedom from a life of servitude and danger. His story is not just a tale of survival, but also a revealing glimpse into the inner workings of one of the most secretive regimes in the world. His accounts are a sobering reminder of the human rights issues that are rampant in North Korea, often hidden from the global community's eyes. The treatment of bodyguards as mere tools for the protection of a single family, at the expense of their freedom and human rights, highlights the broader issues of oppression that permeate the entire country. Stories like that of Lee Guk are crucial as they provide the outside world with valuable insights into the realities faced by those living under Kim Jong-un's rule. These tests determine who qualifies to join North Korea's elite guard team. North Korean leaders used to broadcast videos showing their guards training in Taekwondo and martial arts. These videos displayed strong men performing tough exercises, yet it's confusing how breaking stones and light bulbs would help in protecting against an assassin. Lee shared that he underwent similar training before he was approved to guard a leader. He mentioned that the training is extremely tough, but it's essential not really for fighting skills, but for building loyalty. According to him, a small gun won't win a war, and two serves no practical purpose, but it helps to build loyalty. He explained that this kind of training is supposed to make them think they can defeat the US military. Other training they went through included shooting, lifting weights, physical drills, strategy, swimming, and boating. Lee was one of those who protected the North Korean leader, going through intense training to foster strong loyalty. All guards had to undergo this training if they were expected to protect the future leader of the country. As the physical tests get harder, so does the mental pressure. And next, we'll see how the regime controls their thoughts and beliefs. Brainwashed to serve the leader. Brainwashing is a significant part of their training. While the physical training of North Korean guards is intense, focusing on endurance, combat skills, and discipline, it only represents one aspect of their overall preparation. A more dangerous and powerful method used is ideological brainwashing. In North Korea, everything is covered in so much propaganda that it changes what's real. Most North Koreans only know what the government lets them know, with propaganda being everywhere, in public spaces, on TVs, radios, and even in restaurants and hotels. The government constantly promotes the Kim ruling family as divine figures, deeply embedding this idea into the people's lives. In every public space, workplace, school, and home, there are pictures of Kim Jong-un and the previous leaders. It's mandatory for everyone to place these portraits in a prominent spot at home. Not showing respect to these portraits or statues can lead to harsh punishments, including long stints in brutal labor camps. For example, a woman was once arrested for saving her children from a fire, but failing to save the family portraits. Lee Young-guk, a former guard for Kim Jong-il who later escaped, noted that a large part of the guard's training is focused on brainwashing. Lee urged people to hear his story before it was too late. The guards are trained not only to protect, but to adore the leader as a divine figure. He was made to believe that Kim Jong-il was more than a human. He was a godly figure whose safety was crucial. The guards believed their whole purpose in life was to serve and protect the dear leader. This wasn't just a job for them, it was the reason they were born. The brainwashing was so complete that Lee and his fellow guards truly believed in Kim Jong-il's divine nature and were ready to die for him without hesitation. This brainwashing starts very early, long before they become guards. From their school days, North Koreans are bombarded with stories glorifying the ruling family. These young men, taken straight out of high school, besides their physical training, are subjected to endless propaganda praising the Kim family and their supposed God-given right to rule. By the time they start their jobs as guards, they have been immersed in this ideology for years, making them extremely loyal protectors of the regime. The early indoctrination ensures that the guards are utterly loyal. They never question their orders or whether their actions are right, even if they seem wrong. Lee recalled that they were young and full of energy, believing wholeheartedly that protecting Kim Jong-il was not just their duty, but their sacred responsibility. The ideological training has several purposes. It ensures that the guards will always be ready to sacrifice their lives for the supreme leader, seeing it as an honor rather than just a duty. The propaganda convinces them that they are part of something much bigger than themselves, defenders of a holy cause, protecting the godlike figure of Kim Jong-il, now Kim Jong-un. By brainwashing the guards, they are kept away from any information that might challenge the state's official story. The constant reminders of the Kim family as divine beings prevent the guards from doubting their leader. The combination of intense physical training and ideological brainwashing produces a guard force that is not just physically able, but also fanatically loyal to the leader. Their loyalty is not based on reason or logic, but on the belief that their lives are meaningful only if they are protecting him. For these guards, being disloyal is not just turning against the state, it's like denying their very reason for existence. In such a system, the guards are raised to believe in the absolute power and divinity of the Kim family from a very young age. They are taught to view themselves as warriors on a divine mission to protect their leader, who they see as a godly figure. This belief is reinforced every day through various forms of propaganda and structured training, ensuring that the guards are more than just protectors. They are devout followers. Their training, both physical and ideological, prepares them to be unwavering in their loyalty, ready to face any threat without fear or doubt. The reality for these guards is shaped by the regime, crafted to ensure they remain obedient and faithful, seeing their service as a holy duty bestowed upon them by destiny. After dealing with both mental and physical stress, the bodyguards live with constant danger. Life at risk in Kim's guard. Being a bodyguard for North Korean leaders like Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un involves more than just strength. It's a dangerous job because the country is isolated and faces many problems like poverty and famine. And the people there are starting to question their leaders despite being heavily controlled by the government. Lee Young-guk, who used to work as a bodyguard, said his life was always filled with danger and stress, and he felt paranoid all the time. The job's high risk meant that bodyguards were always on high alert, knowing that a small mistake could not just cost them their lives, but might also land them in a brutal labor camp. They always had to be extra careful because the consequences of making a mistake were too severe, sometimes depending on the leader's mood. On a bad day, the leader might punish them harshly for no real reason. In other places, a mistake at work might get you fired, but in North Korea, it could mean that you and your whole family, even your kids, might end up spending many years in a labor camp or even face immediate death. Protecting the leader was seen as a sacred task, and not doing it perfectly was considered a huge failure. Lee always felt this heavy responsibility, knowing even a tiny slip-up could ruin his and his family's lives. Inside Kim Jong-un's security operations, things were kept very hidden, but Lee shared that the threats they had to deal with were constant. North Korea's strict and harsh way of rolling made many enemies, keeping the bodyguards always tense and ready. The country's shaky relationships with neighboring countries like South Korea added more danger of attacks or even overthrow attempts. Lee talked about how they were often told about possible plans to harm the leader, whether those threats were real or just rumored. The bodyguards also had to live under constant watch, which added a lot of mental pressure to their already hard lives. The government was very paranoid, always keeping an eye on the bodyguards as much as they watched over the leader. Any sign that a bodyguard might be thinking of leaving or showing less loyalty could have serious consequences. Lee described the intense stress of knowing he was always being watched for any signs of disloyalty. It was hard to trust anyone, even other bodyguards, and they were pushed to report even small mistakes. This kind of life was normal for Lee since he was very young. Starting right after high school, he was Kim Jong-il's bodyguard from the late 70s to the late 80s before Kim became the top leader. He later worked as a military advisor for the government and stayed loyal to the regime until he couldn't bear living in North Korea any longer. In 1994, Lee decided he had to leave. He knew it would be difficult because, like all bodyguards and officials, he was closely monitored. When he tried to escape, he was quickly caught. At that time, he was an important military official in a city in North Hamgyong province. He managed to get to China and hoped to go on to South Korea, but was captured. Unfortunately, China often sends people who escape from North Korea back to their country. When Lee was sent back to North Korea, he was locked up in the Yodok political prison camp, known as Camp 15, in South Hamgyong province. This camp is one of the worst, known for holding people without fair trials, and often families are imprisoned together. The camp is notorious for its harsh treatment of those considered as having committed crimes against the state. For Lee, trying to leave North Korea as a high-ranking official was seen as betraying his country. Is this former bodyguard story a personal grudge? Or does it reveal a much darker truth about Kim Jong-un's regime? Let us know what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.